thank you.
It's okay.
My name's Natalie. I'm an apprentice electrician at Nottingham City Homes. I'm in my 4th and final year and I'm just about to qualify as an electrician.
Hi, my name's Caroline. I'm a qualified plumber and an apprentice gas engineer for Nottingham City Homes.
Right, so I'm just going to isolate the power now to ensure that all my sockets are dead so I can work safely. See, when I was younger, I was always, I guess, more of a tomboy. Or that's what it would have been called back then. I like to be hands-on. I like to get involved. If there was a tradesman around at the house or something like that, I'd sit and watch. Just interested in anything and everything. I was raised by a single parent, so doing things around the house just felt sort of normal.
So I've isolated the boiler. It is safe to now work on. I'm not going to get electrocuted. Make sure there's no leaks underneath. So that's all fine. I was a tiny little scrawny blonde thing and my dad was a plumber and he had this great big van. It wasn't actually that big, but I used to see it as absolutely massive because I adored him. And he used to put all his tools in the van and I'd be looking out the window and he'd go off and he'd go out and he'd do his jobs and he'd come back completely dirty, telling us what he'd been doing that day. And I used to look at him and think, I just want to be just like you. And I was just fascinated in how everything worked, how everything came together. I thought it was just so interesting. So yeah, that's where it kind of all started.
I loved acting and I wanted to be a famous theatre actor. I was a thespian, darling, and I pursued that for a while. I also trained to be a hairdresser, worked in retail, I worked as a secretary, a facilities manager. That was the last job I had before this one, which kind of led me down this path.
I tended to fall into jobs like sales. I was actually an assistant school teacher before I took this on, so it was completely different, but I decided, I'm getting on a bit now, I'm 37, but when I was 34 I decided I want to do something completely different. So on my own back I did my level 1 in plumbing and I thought I actually really enjoy this. I can understand why I used to watch my dad and go, Dad, how, why? And then I decided to do some voluntary work. So I did a little bit of voluntary work. It was just like one day a week on a building site. I knew absolutely nothing at all, which is part of the learning process. And then I've got 2 little girls as well. So I remember walking to school because it was quite hard to get an apprenticeship. I remember walking to school with my 2 little girls and flagging down plumbing vans and saying, do you have any apprenticeships? And there was like, no, unfortunately. And I was like, oh, okay, not to worry.
I called Abby within the employability team at Nottingham City Homes, a little bit bewildered and unsure what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. But I'd seen an advert for their Women in Construction. So I called Abby and said, would it be possible for me to come along to Women in Construction and just have a go at trades? And Abby was very encouraging, very nurturing, and she got me involved.
I went to the Women in Construction, I'd heard about that, and then I saw a female plumber and she dropped this radiator and I was thinking, wow, how did you do that? Why don't it leak? And I bombarded her with all these questions.
Every day's different, every job is different. I've worked in various sections of the business, so I've worked in voids, which are empty properties, getting them ready for the next tenant. I've worked on repairs and servicing where you deal with tenants and stuff, and at the minute I'm mainly working in commercial where we work on schools and places like Wollaston Hall.
I do like the engineering aspect of it, like I said. Why does this do this? Why does that work like that? How everything comes together. Things that you would normally just take for granted, like how a boiler works and your hot water comes through and things like that. But why does it do that? There's always that question as to why. When I get the answer to those questions, I feel a sense of accomplishment. It's a new skill that I've learned, and that's another thing that I've overcome. Why did that work? Why did that not work? Oh, right, now I understand. It's actually really exciting. I find it genuinely interesting as well.
When I started work, people would assume oh, the cleaner's here. Are you just going to tidy up behind the boys? Are you making the tea? So maybe it's that I heard the sexism more. Maybe it's that I heard the stereotypes more when I started. Maybe because I focused on it when I was new to it. It was kind of a driving force at the time that this is what people thought. But as I've progressed in my apprenticeship and my working life, I don't hear it as much. I don't believe that it's disappeared. I think that I don't focus on it as much. But there are still people that think, oh, she's just the cleaner, or she's just there to make the tea for the boys and whatever.
I have experienced some elements of sexism, but ultimately that's just one individual's opinion, and that's not going to pay my bills. That is not important to me whatsoever. I'm very much focused and driven on what I want to do.
So when I started working with the guys that I work with now, we went to our wholesalers, and as we drove in, I saw a van that said York father and daughter division. And I was like, father and daughter? I was like, there aren't females, you don't see them. And then next to his van was another van, and it said York father and daughter, and under the driver's window it said daughter division, and it made me smile to see father and daughter, whereas normally you'd see father and son. And then I saw them together, and it was exciting for me to see, new to the trade, and to think that she was what I aspired to be, and I hope to be the girl that other girls aspire to be. This now for me is my final career choice. I can't see me doing anything else other than being a female in this industry. So working at Nottingham City Homes, there are now quite a few female tradespeople as apprentices, and we've got a few that are qualified, and it makes you smile. It's I find it empowering when I walk onto a site and there's another girl. It's just like, yes, sisters can do it for themselves. Yes. An aim is, if I can make it easier for a girl to follow my path, I'm going to keep walking, and I'm going to keep fighting, chopping back the Amazon, clearing the way, because if I can make it easier, then I've served a purpose.
Maybe in the future as well,
yeah,
we might not be so rare, you know, you can walk into a property and they go, "Whoa, a girl!" I'm like, "Hi." Maybe one day they just open the door and go, "You're right, hop in," and it's going to be completely the normal. When I was 9, I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I tried lots of different things, and that's basically what it is. Try lots of different things. Don't put any boundaries on what you can and can't do. Don't let nobody tell you what you can and can't do. You can do whatever you want as long as you put your mind to it. And hard work, dedication, that is key to absolutely everything.
If it's something that you've genuinely considered, if it's something that you want to do, pursue it. Speak to your careers advisors. If you can't find the help that you need there, contact companies. We do work experience for school leavers and things like that. There are doors open, and it's just a case of knocking on them to follow that dream that you're told that you can't. You can, and I'm here to say we can do it.